Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Ben from Superhero Stuff You Should Know, and I have an important announcement for you guys. At the end of every single episode of Superhero Stuff You Should Know, you might hear us shout out to our fans, one of whom is Matt Herring, who was one of the original Superhouse fans. He's always given us his support, and now it's time that we support him. We've just recently found out that Matt has been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And as a cancer survivor myself, I know personally that there's a lot of emotional and financial strain that comes into that. His wife, Kelly, has set up a GoFundMe account at gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt. And hopefully you can help reduce the financial strain to that, as well as some of the emotional strain that comes with that. Again, that's gofundme.com/f/Matthew-kicks-cancer039s-butt.
Matt Herring was the first, I guess you could say, true Superhouse fan. We were Superhouse at that time. You know, the first fan of this podcast and what we do here, and has always supported us, talked about us, and he's from a town close to where I'm from, and so we share that as well, and just a huge superhero fan, and, you know, nerd like the rest of us, and now he's going through that, and if you could donate just at least any amount of money to that link that Ben just said, that would be truly appreciated. Just hang in there, Matt. You'll beat this thing soon.
Boston Brand, how can I see you?
Batman, I'm back in the land of the living. It's great to be able to touch things again.
How are you able to do that? That seems impossible.
It's by just fucking magic, man. It's fucking great. Just kind of just walking around and just fucking seeing shit better than ever. You know, floating around as a fucking spirit. It just gets old, man. I want to be back in the real world.
Something seems off about this. I don't like it.
You're like a fucking detective, dude. Just believe me, okay? I'm not even fucking doing anything. Just walking around. See this fucking bookshop. New age shit. Just wanted to fucking read it with a real body, dude.
Some things. Oh, you took over Clayface's body, didn't you?
What?
And then morphed yourself into yourself.
What? Yes, I'm back. I can't see you, but I think you can hear us now. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm somehow talking to you from some fucking magic bullshit.
Boston, you know that that's immoral to take over another man's body.
I actually did give consent because I wanted to see what it was like. I am what's known as experimental. Yeah, that's right, man. He gives consent. It's all cool, dude.
Okay, this is territory I was not expecting for us to go, but I guess
nobody thought it would be weird, but it just is.
If that's what you guys are into, don't let me get in the way of it.
Freaky Friday is freakier than you could ever imagine.
If Clayface is cool doing this, there doesn't seem to be a problem. Just don't tell me any more of the details, okay?
Oh, well, you know, there's only one more detail, and that is, let us now go to Dairy Queen and get a soft serve. All together, it's product placement, but I don't give a fuck.
I love soft serve and product placement. Okay.
Hell yeah, motherfucker. Are you ready to fucking rock superhero stuff you should fucking know?
And we're back. So welcome to Superhero Stuff You Should Know, presented by Superhouse.
We're keeping it in.
This is Ben.
It is I, Andrew Aurelius Maximus III.
For those who don't know, Andrew and I have the same Roman last names.
We're not
So
related, though.
No, of course.
It's just a
and
coincidence.
somehow
There's a lot of Aurelius Maximus the Thirds, and
we're also both
Rome.
the third. So
Yeah.
who knew the chances?
our parents knew each other, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Something
Wonder
weird
Woman.
there.
We've got the final part of Wonder Woman 84 Part 3, and Wonder Woman did what? And again, we
She
got to
raped somebody.
reiterate. Yes, exactly.
She magically used a body that the body was unconscious, and that unconscious body had sex, but that consciousness that was in the unconscious body was Steve Trevor, and still rape.
Exactly. So we've reiterated this in Part 1 and Part 2, so go back to listen to that if
shit,
you
man.
haven't heard those yet. But we're going to close out Wonder Woman 84 on all the other comic book connections and stuff, and as well as our own opinions about different parts of the movie that came up. So let's get right to it. Diana...
like she did with that body.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna get over it now.
She uses the lasso of truth to
She
show...
uses what again?
The lasso of truth.
Oh, okay.
And the guy's body, but the lasso of truth
Sorry.
on the guy's...
Over it, but then you said she uses...
She uses it on the guy's
PTO.
body, technically, because she uses it on Steve Trevor.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
she does use the lasso of truth on it, but she does it to sort of show what happened to Asteria, just like how Ares showed her his perspective of stuff at the end of the first Wonder
Right.
Woman movie.
Right.
So this Asteria flashback, the costumes of the men attacking Asteria are actually men dressed up in the red capes and outfits from Zack Snyder's 300. So
Oh,
I
shit.
found this on Twitter, but this was noted as like they basically took the same stuff.
A little
from
bit of
that.
an homage, as it were.
Yes, exactly. You can also kind of tell it's Lynda Carter from the shot of the eyes of Asteria. I don't
Dude,
know if you caught that
I
the first
totally
time.
didn't see it come until the actual fucking reveal at the end.
Yeah,
I didn't see
Yeah.
it coming at all. I'm an idiot when it comes to that shit.
I wasn't really thinking about it, and I don't think I even remembered seeing the shot of her eyes the first time I watched it. And then when I was preparing for this episode, and I heard people were like, I could tell what it was through the eyes. I'm like, the eyes, and then I looked at it and went like, oh, yeah.
It's
I don't remember
all
that shot at
there.
all. I don't remember that shot at
all
all.
there, Benward.
But oh well. So the lasso of truth, sort of showing people the truth or the visions of that, is apparently shown up in the comics as well, and not just in this movie. So it's not just made up for the DC EU, the DC Extended Universe. Max
Right.
Lord shows up at the White House, which kind of feels like a little bit like an homage to Superman 2, where Zod walked in
Superman
and
shows
asked the
up at the
president
White
to,
House.
where Zod made the president bow before him, kneel before
Yeah,
Zod. So that was kind of cool. Max
cool,
here
fine.
gets the bloody nose that he gets in the comics when he tries to control somebody. So
Yeah. I like
it's
that.
fine. It finally happened here. And then Cheetah shows up, and this is kind of the homage to the early Cheetahs, because Kristen Wiig is wearing the Cheetah prints in her clothes, and that was kind of when Kevin Smith talked about this on Fat Man Beyond, he said that he had talked to Patty Jenkins, and he was like, is Cheetah in the suit, or is she a full-on cat? Like, is she in like a cat suit, like wearing a cheetah prints, or is she the full-on cat? And Patty Jenkins said both. So this is the sort of homage to the Priscilla Rich version. Obviously, she's not in the decked-out Catwoman type outfit, but it's
not
a more
millionaire-esque either.
realistic. Yeah, it's just a more realistic version of it that fits with this. So that's what we have here. Also, I wanted to expand a little bit on my comment on the first part, because I know I said something about like how it seemed like Diana didn't want her to be who she was before, and what that meant about personal development. And what I meant by that is that it's the idea presented was that Barbara kind of gets what she wants, but at the cost of her own humanity. I just felt that the way that was executed was not as good as it could have been in terms of portraying that, particularly in the fact that it was through her, I guess, nearly killing somebody, if she didn't already kill that rapist dude, killing somebody in self-defense, as opposed to some other demonstration of that, like something where it was not as justified.
Right.
Where I think that could have been an improvement on that end of things, as well as the idea of Wonder Woman sort of telling her, like, you didn't need... I think one of the big beats that was missing was honestly Wonder Woman telling Barbara, you didn't need the stone in order to become more confident. You could have... Like, you took the shortcut to try to become that, but you could have actually done that for yourself.
Right.
That type of thing. and then solidify Cheetah and being like, no, I need this thing, and she doesn't want to put in the work, and make it like about how she's not willing to make the hard decision about doing it for herself. She just wants the easy, magical type of thing. Something along those lines would have solidified it, because it just kind of seems like, again, it's very glossed over, I think, in the movie, and it's, I think one of the things I brought up was how in Batman Forever, when Edward Nygma first shows up, like, yeah, he's a nerdy dude, but he's also clearly unstable and has been stalking Bruce Wayne and doesn't take the rejection of the thing well. So it's like, it makes sense for him to become a villain. Here, Barbara is very
You're
normal.
saying Batman Forever is better than Wonder Woman 84.
Yes. But also...
You're saying that the characterizations make a little bit more sense than they even do in...
What I'm saying is that it's more planted in the Riddler, as opposed to with Barbara, it just feels a little bit more of the whole she's all that, where she gets the whole makeover thing, but then add in her becoming evil on top of getting hot. And I was like, this doesn't really work as well, because her evilness, you could say, is not as planted beforehand. It kind of just shows up when she fights back against that one dude.
The power should amplify everything that she already had.
Right, so maybe if she...
new evilness. I see what you're
maybe
saying.
It was if she was somewhat arrogant beforehand, if she had some other streak, like, again, like with Edward Nygma, it's very obvious that he's flawed. It's not just, this nerd is a nerd and he's going to become a villain. It wasn't just about that.
Right.
It was about, he clearly was unstable and was stalking Bruce Wayne and idolized him too much. And
right. No, I agree.
His flaws are clear from the beginning, as opposed to with Barbara, it's like, you're pretty much on her side until suddenly she shows up at the White House wanting to fight Wonder Woman about
She
this.
might have done better to have, let's say, Wonder Woman does not intervene in that first rape or basically near rape encounter with that dude, and she is right in defending herself, but then she goes too far. Maybe, like, what if she kills somebody? What if she would have killed that guy? She has like a murderous streak. And I don't know. It's very hard to direct that correctly.
I think it's something like she defends herself against the rapists and beats him, and you're like, okay, good for Barbara. She can defend herself, but then like she gets insulted by like one of the people who works at the museum, and then she kills that person, and you're like, okay, wait a minute, like this is getting, don't make it just the rapist dude. It's almost a good intention,
but you take it too far, and then boom,
exactly.
She's a villain before Cheetah. Yeah, it could have been better that way. Yeah,
where she gets high off the power, where it's like, yes, she defends herself, but she gets the bloodlust, and then that carries through when anybody crosses her. And it's not even people who are trying to hurt her.
A little bit of American Psycho. She gets a little bit of the bloodlust before the Cheetah thing. Yeah, that would have been cool.
She gets a business card that is just way better than hers, and she's like, I gotta kill this person now.
Yeah, dude, honestly, it would have been kind of cool. It would have been kind of cool.
Bring back Jared Leto to get killed by Cheetah.
Warnos, what's her name? There's not very many of them, but there are a few female serial killers, and Eileen Warnos, I think is her name. Maybe take some inspiration from that. Kind of dark, but Cheetah's a villain. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree, but it's one where I'm like, we got to the White House fight, and I think the White House fight with Cheetah is way better than the one later on. But
it is
kind of
good. We just got robbed of overall length of the fight with Cheetah at the end, but I guess we'll get there, won't we, Ben?
Yes, we will. We will. It's still better than that fight, but also it's like, I wish this was more earned. I wish this was more...
Yeah.
Like, we would have seen more steps to get from here to there. Because I thought the next step was like...
a little bit more, and I'm bringing this back, Cracker Jack. Could have been a little bit more Cracker Jack.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's like, because beforehand, like both Diana and Barbara, again, I keep reiterating this because it's in the script, both of them agree that they don't want to renounce their wishes. Because for Diana, that means that Steve's gone, and for Barbara, it means that she doesn't get to have her transformation, be more confident. So if anything, they should be working together at the White House, and then maybe it's when Wonder Woman and Steve sort of realize that they got to stop this guy more, and Barbara realizes that she doesn't want that, or something like that. Like, I think Barbara should have been with them at the White House and then sort of break apart from them, from how they're doing it or something like that, so that we're just missing an extra step, I think, in terms of how we get from here to there. But again, this could have been solved more if Cheetah was the main villain as opposed to having Max in there, because Max is only really in there because of the OMAC project, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. Probably going to be in the third one, huh? I don't know.
The
That's hard to
OMAX?
tell at this point, but yeah, all that shit.
I don't know if we're going to see... I mean, Pedro Pascal is a popular enough actor that I could see them bringing him back, but then it's just like, well, wait a minute. If you bring back Maxwell Lord, what's the time period? Is he just going to... He's not going to look like that in 2020 if he was, in his 30s or 40s in 1984.
Also, does he just... Well, if the Dreamstone does time or something to a certain extent,
maybe
is
he gets transported
off
to
scot-free, pretty much. He's just a sleazy billionaire.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. Doesn't get thrown into prison. Like, no, he doesn't really get affected by any consequences. To be fair, he doesn't really kill anybody.
He doesn't, but he does cause a lot of shit. So
he does,
agent of chaos for sure.
Yes. But let's see. After the White House sequence, we have shit going down with the Cold War. Nukes are being launched and everything, and that's when sort of Diana has to renounce her wish as well as sort of get her powers back. And this is kind of where... So Mark Bernardin brought this up in Fat Man Beyond, but he's like, for something about women empowerment, why does Steve have to point this out to her? Why is it Steve's choice to be like, you have to like give me up? Like, why doesn't Diana make more of this choice?
Not good. It seems a bit, and our female listeners out there, correct us if we're wrong on any of these points, but it just kind of feels like a lot of it's a little too male-centric for something that's supposed to be a little woker. It's about Maxwell Lord. It's about Steve Trevor. It's like...
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting... like, if anything, and again, some of this is me knocking down my own Ben Cave stuff, but some of this is... I don't even know what happened, but some of this is... some of it could be some expectations, because I thought before going into this that it was going to be Cheetah as main villain, Maxwell is kind of like more in the background type of guy, and instead it was the complete opposite.
This way.
I wasn't either, but it was like, why though? Again, like Diana's relationship.
Joker. Imagine
Diana's relationship.
Batman, the Joker takes a fucking backseat to somebody else. It's like I don't know who, what, but just,
like Lex Luthor or something. Yeah,
Joker's his top villain. He gets one. There's one villain in it, and like Athena Fingers said, like it's kind of simple. It's essentially a one-on-one for the most part, and then, or it's versus his henchman, but still Joker's henchman. But
we also kind of got this.
Shouldn't have taken backseat. Her top villain, especially in recent years. Kind of gets the shaft, and it's not like Lynda couldn't have handled that shit. She obviously did a
she
great
absolutely
job.
could have. Yeah, she definitely could have. This is not Kristen Wiig's fault at all. We kind of got this in the first movie too, ironically enough, where we had Dr. Poison. Remember, we had the female mad scientist with the mask and everything.
That was kind of her first Joker kind of guy, right? Before Cheetah came along.
But then she kind of also had to take a back seat to the general dude and Ares. So like it's easy to forget that Dr. Poison was even in that. So it's kind of a shame that we've repeated that over here. And again, we're not speaking for the female audience on it, but when it comes to this specifically, I'm interested in seeing this great rivalry in DC Comics history. It just so happens that both of them are women, and they're fleshed out in the comics over decades and decades of history. You have a lot to draw from when it comes to the when it comes to how to portray that on film, and it's just shortchanged by a villain who's not even really a Wonder Woman villain in the comics.
Right.
He's kind of just a Justice League villain who had one famous moment with Wonder Woman, and they kind of build the whole movie around that moment, and they don't even adapt that moment really on here. So it's a very weird choice.
He could be a sleazy 80s billionaire. There was a lot of those. And they were doing cocaine.
Yes.
I don't know, man. Yeah. Honestly, I liked what they did with him for a large part of it, but this movie definitely could have been serviced a little better if it was, Cheetah versus...
It was a Cheetah movie.
Yeah. Imagine
but-
like one Kristen Wiig getting her like Heath Ledger moments, her fucking like really delving into like evil villainess kind of I don't know, like
Yeah,
I
because
feel like there's more room. You could have like stake your claim to that, being like there aren't very many like women villains.
female supervillains. Name the last great female supervillain you saw on screen.
Well, we
right
got
now.
Maleficent or some shit. Like, who gives a
Well,
fuck?
I mean, supervillains. I mean, comic book
There's
supervillains.
not very many of them, man.
Exactly. Like
Thor
it's basically
2, right?
Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
No, Thor Ragnarok. had
Ragnarok.
one, right?
Yeah.
And she was good. But yeah, there's not, not a
But, like,
lot of them. Not a lot of them.
Name all the male ones: Joker, Red Skull, Two-Face,
Yeah,
Riddler, Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Like you can just name them off the top of your head. Well, female ones you just have to like be like, oh yeah, that was one Thor Ragnarok. I guess this person counts. Like it's so unfortunately heavily weighted. And it's still stuff that we're still working through. But it's a hell of a shame when it's something that's already in the goddamn comics. You just had to adapt it. You just had to just bring that part to life.
I think. To play devil's advocate there a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that there would be some backlash, like, oh, does a woman have to fight a woman? Why can't she fight a man? Is there?
Yeah,
any
but she
kinda,
already.
like, I don't know. She
My
already did the
argument
first
to
one,
that
actually.
is-
yeah.
She already did in the first one. She fights Doomsday. She fights Steppenwolf. Like
That's
she's
true,
already
that's
fought a
true.
whole
Even
bunch
in
of
the
men.
DCEU.
Yeah, and then Cheetah is one of the number one Wonder Woman villains. So I'm like,
Yeah,
It's-
I know. They fucked it up.
would it kill them to like? I think the last I could only cite two times where we had a female superhero versus a female supervillain, and that was Supergirl, where Faye Dunaway is the villain, and Catwoman, if you want to count that, with Halle Berry and Sharon Stone. Like this is so because like Captain Marvel fought Jude Law, Wonder Woman fought Ares, and all those other dudes.
That's true. I'm just bringing up
Dr.
bullshit.
Poison.
But I think people, especially with fucking women superheroes, like people bring up the fucking stupidest shit sometimes.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear
You've probably
you. But
seen some stupid ass comments about. Okay, anyway, that's a whole other fucking topic.
Yeah. But again, if we're talking about, equality wise, yes, like she should have her own group of rogues galleries who are male and female. It shouldn't just be female versus female in every single one, because that's not. It doesn't even happen with the other superheroes. Batman still has Catwoman and Poison Ivy. Thor still has Kate Blanchett's character. Like it's still part of it. But just when it's somebody who's that big of a rival, was that big of a Wonder Woman supervillain, it's just a
number
shame.
one in recent years. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then here with Steve pointing out to her about making that choice, I just felt like the weight of that choice of sacrificing Steve Trevor was not. They didn't really realize the potential, because she kind of just runs away from him. We don't see him disappear or anything. Like it doesn't.
She doesn't want to see him go. I think. That's what
I
it
know,
is.
but we as an audience, it's just a weird way to write out Steve Trevor in here, where she's kind of just. I just feel like it weighs heavier if we see her say, "I have to let you go," Like
Some of those scenes are very emotional. They're like, she's like, I'll never love again, or whatever. Like all those lines are very emotionally charged.
I
think
thought
done
it was
pretty
good.
well.
I thought it would have been better towards closer to the end, when everyone else has to renounce their wish, and she has to be the one to do it at the end. She has to complete what she started on that. Like that would have been. You typically want to make. In screenwriting, at least, and some people might think I'm just talking bullshit, because who the fuck am I? I'm not writing Wonder Woman 84. I'm on a fucking podcast, but whatever.
Hey,
That's
so is Mark Mardarn's also on the podcast.
Yeah,
He
I
does
know.
many things.
He does Picard, yeah. So, but it's like in his rewrite, he has what I'm talking about. He has Wonder Woman sacrificing Steve as the final part, because you typically want the way for the hero to defeat the villain is through overcoming something that is part of their arc, the final step of their arc. That's the best way to sort of have everything come together as one.
It
where it's
sounds
not
as
just
if
stop
that
the bad
you've
guy.
learned this in the first few years of screenwriting school or something. Like, it seems like
Yes.
that should be more common knowledge, Ben Atavius.
It should be, but it's very rare that you end up seeing that, unfortunately. And I felt like with this one, it's like it was all over the place, because that's why I said in the first episode that we did this, where like structurally this movie's kind of all over the place, because like I felt like that was a moment that is easily like that's the finale, that's the third act, like that's her big sacrifice, because she's wanted.
Right.
This is what she's been trying to hold on to the whole movie, and she has to let go of Steve Trevor. And now that we've gotten rid of that aspect, now the rest of it is kind of just having her catch up the rest of the world on that idea. So I felt like the finale would have been stronger had she done that, like had they moved things around like they talked about in Batman Beyond. So check out Mark Bernardin's rewrite on that, where he pretty much has that as like the final thing that she does.
His rewrite is pretty good. I feel like he didn't get to all of it because I don't know. I feel like
Kevin Smith.
Because Kevin Smith's interrupting him or something. But what we did here, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like I don't know. It was good though. What I did like, and maybe I'm jumping ahead, was she's underpowered still, and that's the reason she has to wear that fucking armor.
Well, that's another thing.
Like, holy shit, that's fucking right there.
We haven't
Mark
talked.
Bernardin just fucking got it.
Yeah, and instead in the movie she wears the armor after she gets her powers back, and I'm like, well, what's the point of that?
Yeah,
what's the point of that?
It's a missed opportunity, man. It's just like
why is she
close,
even in the
all these
armor
points.
if she's back? Yeah, why is she even in the armor at the end if she already has her mojo back? Like, it would have made more sense if she wore that when she was at the White House, because that's when she's already losing her powers.
Exactly.
And then Cheetah fucks it up, and then she's without that, and now she's stuck in the original suit without her Amazonian powers. But that's
maybe her wings get shot off somehow or ripped off by Cheetah, and then fucking she maybe mid-flight too, and then she rips Cheetah off, and then Cheetah falls down, but she stays alive because she's super powered, and then fucking she learns to fly sort of mid-flight, like, holy fuck, I'm still flying even without the wings. Like, I don't know. There's like,
maybe,
dude. We need to take a pass at this, Ben. I think we do. Us and Bernard, we can make beautiful music together.
We can follow up the Justice League time travel cut video with a Wonder Woman 84 video, is what you're saying?
Yeah. 90% of this is from Mark Bernardin, but we're going to add our other 10% flair.
That's true, because I don't really have much more to add to what he already did, Like,
his armor thing was like, holy shit. Yeah.
Everything he talked about was like, yes, that was totally what I would want to see. Everything they talked about was what I would want out of Wonder Woman 84, what I wanted out of it while I was watching.
Bernardin's usually right, honestly. He's pretty much right a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's that.
I tend to liken our dynamic to me trying to be the Bernardin to your Kevin Smith on this podcast.
People think I smoke a lot of weed, but I don't at all. Really.
No.
But
not the weed part. Not the weed part. But
yeah. Yeah. It's similar, I guess.
Yeah. We do. Before we go to the break, one quick thing is on the music. So we haven't really talked that much about Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is back on here after a quick retirement from the DC universe. I think the last time he did a DC film was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, where immediately afterwards he was like, I'm retiring from scoring superhero shit.
Right. And then he's back.
But then he came back for X-Men Dark Phoenix, which was
alrighty.
I did not see, but I heard the score, and it sounds amazing. But
is it a really good score? See, that movie was not well received.
It sounds like a great score, but I haven't seen the movie for it to go along with it. But it's like sometimes I get it mixed up with the Interstellar score on it. But that's
another one where it was just like, as an X-Men fan, how can I liken this to Batman films? It was it's Batman and Robin-ish. Maybe not that.
Movies?
Not as.
I feel like X-Men 3 is seen as the Batman and Robin of the X-Men movies.
That's the Batman and Robin. But anyway, it was not as good, and I thought Days of Future Past was done really well. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Is it, Ben?
Right. So I was surprised by how few times Zimmer brought back the like the main Wonder Woman theme. It's mainly in the truck sequence, from what I remember.
There's not. We brought
Maybe
this
it shows
up
up a little
when we
later.
reviewed the first movie, but the score isn't. Are we stereotyping too much to add grace to women like power and grace. But I always thought that power and grace were like kind of that combination is Wonder Woman, and that score is too much power, too little grace. It's good, but I don't know. Anyway, it's again super nitpicky, but not that I'm a fucking composer. I can't fucking do that shit. I can't even read music.
Robert Gregson Williams had his own theme to Wonder Woman. It feels like that is playing during the No Man's Land sequence in the first movie. That probably feels more graceful, but of course we don't have him back. We have Hans Zimmer back on here.
Yeah.
But it does seem like there was a resistance to use it as much in comparison to the other themes that we've heard in the DC universe that Zimmer's done. So that was interesting. But what is interesting, there's two instances of music that I want to comment on in this podcast, and one of them comes with a flight sequence. Yeah. The music is great in the flight sequence. It is not by Hans Zimmer. What they use
Junkie
is
XL.
No, it's not Junkie XL. It is from the Danny Boyle movie Sunshine, with music by John Murphy.
That's a cult film. I've never seen it, but I know it's got a cult following.
It's a song called Adagio in D minor. It's a fantastic score. However, Sunshine came out in I want to say early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it's been used in almost everything since. So this was used in the trailers for both X-Men Origins Wolverine and X-Men Days of Future Past. It was used in scenes of The Walking Dead. It was used in Kick-Ass. So it's been used in a lot of stuff. So for me at this point, I mean, it's a great score. It's a great sequence. It just kind of felt like, oh, we want a song that's like Sunshine. And then they're like, yeah, fuck it, we're just going to use Sunshine.
Just get Sunshine.
Yeah, let's just use it. And I'm
it's
like,
the 10th track they're using in the editing bay, and they're like, it's a Warner Brothers, right?
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, it works, but as somebody who knows that score, it's distracting. Where I'm like,
are you a big Sunshine fan? Again? You're part of the cult?
I'm not necessarily part of the cult. I don't. It's not my favorite movie, but I love the score for it. I love that. I love that piece.
Okay, copy
that.
But
it's like when you've heard that in a million trailers and other movies and other scenes, if you're going to use it again, it better be like one of the best uses of that score, you know?
Wow. Okay, I didn't know it was from all those other movies.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of other stuff, so that's why I found it like a little distracting for it to be in the flight sequence, because again, it's kind of like... It's so like if they used it for...
In your home theater when you watched it, you...
Yeah. When I was listening to the first few notes, I was like, are they using
Sunshine again?
Sunshine again? Yeah, I was like, there's no way. I'm like, they got Hans Zimmer on this. He's not just gonna use some random score, from somewhere else. That's what happened.
The flight scene, obviously, flight brings up images of Superman, but that's really when it felt like, okay, we really love Donner. We love Donner.
Yeah.
Whenever that scene was on. For me,
yeah, but
that's how I felt.
There's a part, and then this is also part of the problem sometimes when it's Wonder Woman is that you kind of have to wonder if, why can't Wonder Woman have her own flight theme? Why?
Right.
Man of Steel, Superman's got his own flight theme, but Wonder Woman's got to share Sunshine with the X-Men trailers and Kick-Ass.
Yeah,
you could Hans. You could have easily had an epic score to this one scene. You didn't have to take score from somewhere else or do a temp track type of thing.
It's missing something, isn't it?
Yeah. So that might be nitpicky on my part because a lot of people listening to this probably aren't familiar with that score or don't know it or weren't thinking about that at the time. But for me, it was like, did you really have to use this? Again, that sort of thing. So
I did not know that at all.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a little bit. It was okay. It was just it's a lot of Donner in there. I did have a friend bring up that. God, this is even too nitpicky for me, but the fact that she does the one hand. Did we talk about this before? While flying, it's like too
Spider-Man.
much like Superman, but it's just like. They all do this in the comics. There's Green Lantern's doing this in the comics.
Yeah, it's not a Superman specific thing. It's because you've only really seen Superman do that.
It's
on film. I think that's why.
Just. Well, I know we break this shit. We break these movies down like a motherfucker, but that's just there's only how many poses are there for flying? One hand, two hands, or no hands. That's it. That's all we got.
Yeah,
As far as
or the
like humans
Jesus
with
thing.
hands.
Yeah.
Or Jesus, but we're not
Jesus
doing
thing with
that.
the arm.
Although
Yeah.
Man of Steel, they damn
Man
near
of Steel
should
certainly
have.
did.
He actually doesn't he fly out like showing.
He does.
Like,
Right after Russell Crowe's like, you can save them. And I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
is a little on the nose where he's just like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm Jesus
We're-
now.
we're releasing sermons to all
There
of
are
America.
literal crosses in the background when Superman dies in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. We'll cover that in the deep dive.
How
there.
religious? I don't think Snyder's that religious. Anyway, fucking A.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poses while flying. There's only so many. It's fine. You gotta let it go,
I think
dude.
it's completely fine. Yeah.
The scene probably could add a little bit more power to it, for sure. But I don't think the flight pose is
that's
big
not
of a deal.
No, I don't have a problem with it. Again, like it works. It works for what it is. It's just if I didn't know that song, I wouldn't be as distracted. That's my main thing. And that's for me personally. I'd love to see, because a lot of fans do rescores, where they put like a different score to it. I'd love to hear a rescore of maybe them putting the No Man's Land music from the first movie into that flight sequence or something, because that would be,
right.
I would like that better.
Right,
and again,
right.
I love the Sunshine score, but it's just like at this point, it's overused. It's
Especially
like hearing
for first flight scenes.
It's
a
like
little much.
Yeah, it's as how many times have you seen a trailer for a kids movie that used da 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 the whole Mountain King type of thing? Like we hear it all the fucking time. Like it just has less of an impact because you keep fucking using it all the time. So
there's also I could play this for you later. You might be unfamiliar with it, but there's a song called, I think it's Fox on the Run from the band Sweet. Oh man, dude, it's been in like every trailer. It's like the trailers have trends, marketing has trends, and it's just they could be a little bit more creative, I guess.
Exactly. So anyway, when we get back from the break, we'll talk a little bit more about Wonder Woman's flight as it pertains to the comics. So stay tuned.
Need some adventure in your life? What Mad Universe is a podcast about the history of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, where we delve the depths of pop culture history.
Everything's the same politically, but we have ray guns.
The actual motive isn't to explore something that's, quote, scientifically possible or...
But neither is Star Wars, and I know there's arguments about that, but I would definitely consider Star Wars science fiction.
You haven't read Dune!
No, I haven't.
You can never be the Kwisatz Haderach. What Mad Universe on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
My word. Would you look at this here photograph, Bruce?
I saw it earlier. That woman from the museum. She's hundreds of years old, and it looks like she used to decapitate heads in the Crimean War.
Yes. It seems as if she has beheaded 3 warriors of some status. And I was just wondering, is this woman a threat?
I don't know. Until I find out, I should prepare some contingency plans.
One way to get ahead in life, right, Bruce? 3, in fact.
I know what you're trying to do, and it's not working. I'm not going to laugh, Alfred.
Seems as if she got a head start, as it were. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'm about to head out.
I don't know how you raised me.
Those are fine American jokes, huh? They're funny here in the colonies.
Fine, Alfred. You are my father.
What?
Because you have great dad jokes. Now get the fuck out of here.
And you've seen this woman around Gotham as well.
Yes, and she hasn't aged a day. She may be immortal. She may have access to a Lazarus pit. I'll have to find out.
It seems that Lazarus pit's quite handy indeed.
Yes, I heard they were even making energy drinks. Remember when I had that duel with Evan Gregory?
Ah, yes, he was a weak bitch.
Strangely, he talked a lot like you.
That certainly is weird indeed. Oh, wait.
Well, Alfred, if you give me a moment, I'm going to have to study this photo further.
Study it further? In your room? Alone? Lights off? I see.
Not like that, Alfred.
No problem there for me at all. I will leave you to your own devices.
You are this close to getting fired.
This reminds me of the days whenever I used to leave you in your room when you thought that I thought you were just training.
Batman has to be prepared for everything.
What does jerking off prepare you for?
Mental focus.
Focus on the photo, fine, whatever. I am gonna eat some stupid French vichyssoise anyway.
All right, everybody, if you like that sketch right there, we have that plus news Plus, we're bringing back some opinion pieces and review type stuff and all kinds of stuff in our $5 tier on Patreon. So just go to patreon.com/superherostuffpod, and if you become part of the $5 tier, you can see these new bonus episodes. Basically, consider it Superhouse DLC.
Hey there, this is Andrew Sellon, better known to you as Mr. Penn and the Ventriloquist on Gotham.
And this is Mr. Scarface. And if you know what's good for you, you'll listen to Suter House Podcast. Get it?
And we're back to talk about Wonder Woman's flight. Andrew is very
We already
interested in
did that.
Figuring out. No, but we're talking about her flight in the comics.
Oh,
This is why we're in part 3 of this. Is because
we're here to talk about Wonder Woman's rape. Or raping of some random dude. Palaho, what was his name?
Handsome man. Oh, Christopher Paloha. I think
Paloha.
is how you pronounce
Aloha,
I think, or Palaha.
to you, sir. I don't know. God damn it, man. What's happening to me?
We want you to be the love interest of Wonder Woman. I'm like, oh, sweet, I get to work with Gal Gadot. I'm like, kind of.
Yeah.
Let's explain. Your body is taken
looks
over.
like, let me just say something. Chris Pine wins again. That is one handsome man,
so
though,
sorry,
boy.
man. So the reason why there was the invisible jet in most of Wonder Woman's history is because she couldn't fly until Crisis on Infinite Earths in the 80s. So she actually did learn how to fly in the 80s, around the same time that Barbara Ann Minerva, the cheetah, came into her life.
Did Grant Morrison make her fly for the first time?
It wasn't Grant Morrison, I
Who did that again?
believe. Huh?
I think Grant Morrison does everything. I don't know. He did one of the Crisis ones, though, right?
He didn't do Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, okay.
That was Marv Wolfman.
Oh, okay, yeah. He never had to buy a beer.
And never had to buy a beer, Marv Wolfman. Type of thing.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, Cheetah was created by George Perez and who was the other one? Let me look this up real quick. One was George Perez and the other person was Len Wein, creator of Wolverine. So that's why. But in those post-crisis Wonder Woman comics, Wonder Woman could fly. So that's kind of what they got here. And now there's more of an emotional tie-in because she's able to fly due to what Steve had told her or had taught her about flying and everything.
It's like she doesn't know her own potential. It's like she's learning how to make shit invisible and fucking learning how to fly. Like, what's next? You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot going on there. I mean, Superman's got a shitload of powers too, but they're kind of more or less set from the beginning.
Yeah. It did say in the 50s that she, quote, first learned to manipulate air currents. So that was kind of the precursor to that. But the main thing is
first comic?
In the 50s.
Oh, to fly,
50s,
yes.
She manipulated air currents.
So it's like almost like Storm flying. Actually, I'm not exactly sure how Storm's supposed to fly in X-Men, but it kind of seems like she controls the air to make herself fly. It's funny how like all those heroes have like you can write in different mechanics for how that character flies, you know? Like Thor doesn't really fly, right? It's Mjolnir.
It's Mjolnir, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just
until
funny
you get to
how
Ragnarok.
Yeah, true, right? Yeah, there is that, but yeah, I don't know. That's just one of those fun things about comics, everyone.
Let's talk a little bit. We talked a little bit about the golden armor earlier, but let's bring it back now because we're getting to the part where Diana wears it.
Asteria for 3 seconds.
Asteria wore it for 3 seconds. Diana wears it for 3 minutes, but it's pretty much from Kingdom Come, which is why Mark Waid and Alex Ross are thanked at the very end.
Oh, shit. Mark Waid, lover of Superman. We're going to talk about him once we get to Man of Steel. I'm going to bring him up again.
Yeah. She dons this outfit in Kingdom Come when shit's about to go down and she has to be a warrior because the gulag with all the different supervillains is basically broken out and it leads into the finale. And it sort of represents her succumbing more to the bloodthirsty warrior side that she has to curb, and she has to strip herself of that armor to go back to being the Wonder Woman we know and love at the end. So there's a thematic significance to it. Like the armor is seen as it's almost like a bad
All right,
thing.
so back up right now. So you're saying it was written better in the comics?
Yes, I know. It's amazing, right?
Oh, okay.
Who knew?
You can proceed, Ben.
It kills me how there's even now this perception like comics are just for kids, like everything else is more higher quality art, and then when you actually adapt the comics, people come up with worse shit than what's actually in the comics. You know,
That's dude, that's what kills me. I mean, especially what do you call it, like characterization? People doing things for emotional purposes. I don't know. It's just you're right. You're right. I don't know why they can't get that. Although Marvel more or less gets it right, that kind of thing right more often than not. I mean, look at even Thanos. Like Thanos is like got a lot of emotional, drive behind everything that he does. What with his daughters and whatnot.
Yeah, which I don't really remember when reading Infinity Gauntlet, but that was
that
definitely
part was
expanded upon in
changed for sure.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to, I guess maybe I'm making a slightly different point, but the emotional reasons, his motives are written a little better. I don't even know how I got on this topic, but I don't know. Anyway,
talking about comics that are better written than movies, which is ironic because
I'm sure there's some Thanos comic that has that shit in there. And Finley he's fucking like talking to death with a woman. He's trying to impress a woman. Yeah, essentially, that's why he's trying to kill more people than death or something, which is honestly kind of awesome for a comic book, you know. But I can see why they made those changes for the movies.
Yeah. For here, it just feels like they said, "Hey, this armor looks cool. Let's put her in the armor," and that's about it.
It's third act, right? We gotta do something.
We gotta give her a new suit. Like, I mean,
she's gonna fly in, and then the wings just fall off after 2 seconds, or what? The wings just come off.
She takes them off after Cheetah like basically strikes at them and stuff. She damages them, so she kind of
Cheetah does take them off.
Unfurls the wings. Yeah, Diana takes them off, but after they're damaged by Cheetah. Because I rewatched this part last night.
I might have missed that particular part. It happened a little too quick, maybe. But I've only seen the movie once at this point, so
I think they're trying to have a thematic tie with Asteria, because Asteria was like their great warrior who fought for truth and things like that at a time, and maybe they're saying Diana's trying to become like that. But if you're going to do something for a thematic reason, it should also have a practical reason in the story, because otherwise it just feels tacked on, which is what it felt like in here. Like you imagine the
Bernard's
whole movie,
rewrite with the armor is so good.
Yeah. Or imagine this movie, the same thing without the armor at the end. Everything else is the same, well, except for the rape part, but everything else is the same. And you keep but you take out the bird armor. Yeah. And she's just in the regular outfit at the end. Like, do you really lose anything?
You Lynda don't Carter, lose much.
That's about it.
It looks cool. I like the design of it. The gold armor.
I like the design too.
Sweet with wings. But as far as like emotional, whatever plot, whatever you want to call it, like the impetus, the drive for putting it in there, it's a little on the thin side.
Yeah.
The
costume designer was Lindy Hemming, who I believe also did the Batsuit in the Nolan movies.
Shit.
And Lindy Hemming talked about how they were sort of designed to look like Roman shields. And
it kind of has that vibe, which makes you think like we're kind of inundated with the look of Roman warriors, but Greece is like right there. You know, was it just fucking togas and shit? Like, I actually kind of want to look this up. You know, what did Greek warriors look like? And especially like in their mythology. I don't know. You know, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of armor at that time. I think maybe Greece is older than Rome. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Greece is, yeah.
Greece is, right? Yeah.
I think for this, it's almost like the armor replaces the shield, because Diana's not using a shield and a sword like she is in Wonder Woman 1 or Batman v Superman. Or
that's right.
In Justice League, I think. So.
Or in Injustice.
That too. So I think some part of it is a desire to play more of the classical elements, you know, as opposed to what was there before. But I guess the armor is kind of replacement for the shield stuff, but again, doesn't seem like it's that necessary on here.
Okay.
No,
Diana it's not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, I know. It's a big revelation.
I know we keep saying that. I need a better fucking comment. But yeah, yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Next is Diana defeats Cheetah by electrocuting her. And somebody asked Patty Jenkins, well, how come Wonder Woman wasn't electrocuted? And the answer is simply because she's the daughter of Zeus, man.
See, that's weak, though.
Well, I mean, she can channel lightning.
is
That's seen in the previous stuff. That's seen at the end of the first movie.
I guess you know what? Maybe I
So
take
she
it
would
back.
be
Maybe it's not that
electricity
weak,
proof.
but it's just never. I don't know. Maybe it's just so part of the internal logic. I didn't really pick
It's
up on
hard to
that, but
keep track when she's. It's hard to keep track when she's also learning how to fly and turn things invisible, and it's there's a lot of powers to keep track of.
Was that her second wish too, to be lightning proof? Like,
No.
like how many? We got 2-3 wishes up here. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
But like we've said before, I just wish it was a little longer. I think, like,
Wait, what
I
was
always,
a little longer?
it all-
The
the fight
yeah.
between Cheetah and Wonder Woman. Since
I was like, the movie does not need to be longer.
No,
but
no,
you're
no, it
talking about
doesn't.
The fight, yeah.
we cut some out of the middle maybe, but still make the Cheetah fight longer, because to me, I feel like I do like long fight scenes when, the good ones. Like, I think one of the best ones ever is Matrix 1. It kind of felt like at the end they have like a gun battle for 20 minutes, and then they run out of bullets, and then they have another fucking fist fight for another fucking 20 minutes. You got 40 minutes of the fucking movie. It's like this long ass fight scene. For me, and probably not everybody's like this, but for me personally, I kind of appreciate that. I just I feel like I don't want to be robbed from that part of the spectacle, especially from
I think
a superhero movie.
what made it special in the first Matrix to me was Neo coming into his own. You see the gradual progression in him being this guy who doesn't know how to handle himself in the Matrix, to him rescuing Morpheus, to him basically becoming the one, and you see the evolution of that through violence, through the action.
Yes.
And that's it's a great melding. To me, I think that's the best way to walk that line, is you meld the action scene with character and that progression. It's way more interesting to see somebody who is taught throughout the whole movie he's not ruthless as North or something like that, and he has to become ruthless at the end.
Right.
As opposed to a guy who you've seen be ruthless for 2 hours and you see him be more ruthless at the end. It's just like, okay, fine, I already saw 2 hours of this. Why is this special at the end?
He's opened his mind. It's the whole, like, there's a lot of, like, they loved anime, the Wachowskis, so, like, I mean, they used Ghost in the Shell as part of the pitch, I heard. Like, it's just that 90s anime, probably 80s too, like,
this really makes me want to rewatch The Matrix.
Japanese influence in there is a little,
Yeah.
it's subtle, maybe a little subtle, but it's there. The fighting is kung fu, which is Chinese, but that anime influence is definitely there, and for
it's a combination of all sorts of things.
The connection there was opening the mind, Asian, which was really Indian originally, but Buddhism, all that kind of shit. I know that's a stretch, but there's like literal
really
Buddhists in the kid talking about the spoon and shit.
Yeah,
fucking opening the mind. His character arc at the end, he opens his mind in the last. And fucking anyway, it's a whole fucking tangent, but it's done well.
Because they combined all their influences and tried to come up with something original that was cohesive and wasn't beholden to certain adaptations or audience expectations to certain characters, because there were no expectations on that. It's just a original movie.
No one even know. Look, if there's anybody younger. We've gone in a major tangent here, but just to wrap this tangent up,
Matrix deep dive.
Yeah. If you're younger, you don't know this because you've grown up in a world in which anime has already been popular. But in the 90s, especially the early 90s, probably whenever they were writing this script, I think the Wachowskis wrote it, right? Not many people knew what the fuck it was. So this was like the first major Hollywood film that really was like, this is a live action anime. I mean, we're doing it, motherfucker.
And we're exposing it to people who might not have seen a fucking frame of anime in their lives.
Not at all. I mean, it's like the first Matrix movie is like half Ghost in the Shell, half Dark City. Like, that's the fucking Matrix, with Yoon Wo Ping doing the fight scenes.
Yeah.
So
God, I just want to rewatch this movie now.
Dude,
sorry, Wonder Woman fans.
We might do that. Okay, so Neo's a superhero, so maybe eventually we'll do a Neo thing. There's rumors that Neo's going to be in the next Injustice fighting game anyway, but
really?
Because the Matrix 4 is coming out. Those are rumors, but it's possible. It is Warner Brothers. So
be interesting.
But yeah, dude, in '99, I think when we saw that, I was 14 or 15. it blew my fucking mind. I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in the theater in my fucking life.
Yeah.
At that time.
I think time is even kinder to it now, given that a lot of other original franchises that people try to kick off, or non-original franchises try to kick off, are just not nearly as successful as that first Matrix in terms of introducing you to a world, making you care about it, tying in all these different influences, creating something that makes you think as well as entertains you. Like, there's so many different things that it succeeds in.
It's just extreme passion that they had for niche shit.
Yeah,
actually didn't.
So
I know I always bring back Grant Morrison, but Grant Morrison apparently goes to the theater, watches The Matrix, is like, this is all my shit. He was like, A, impressed that it's on screen, but Invisibles, but then B, kind of like, they stole a lot of my shit. But
maybe we can do a deep dive comparing the Invisibles to the Matrix to see how, if this is true or if this is another Steve Englehart situation.
Could be. I feel like Morrison's a little bit more likable than Englehart.
I agree.
But anyway,
all right.
Let's
let's
bring it back
to Wonder
around.
Woman.
Yeah.
Back to Wonder Woman. So I keep bringing up Maxwell Lord is only the villain of this because of the OMAC project.
Okay.
It's true. That's the only big time that I can cite where Wonder Woman has any history with this guy. Maybe they had some previous interactions, but the OMAC project is essentially Maxwell Lord is against metahumans and superheroes and hijacks Batman's program with all the contingency plans and stuff to create these OMACs, all that type of stuff, and that was the basis for Justice League Mortal.
Justice League
George
Doom
Miller was going to
too. Oh, really? That was also for that movie.
It was going to be for that one of Jay Baruchel
That's
as
cool.
Maxwell Lord.
Justice League Doom, right? That also does that same idea.
That one was based more because there's two stories of Batman's contingency plans against the Justice League biting him in the ass. Justice League Doom was a little bit more based off of Tower of Babel, where Ra's al Ghul
does
it, and
that's one of my favorites.
Vandal Savage.
It's a
pretty
animated.
Solid one. Yeah, it's a pretty solid one. I think here with the OMAC project, it was a big event, and at one point Maxwell Lord uses his mind powers to take over Superman. And you had several issues of Superman thinking that he was fighting guys like Brainiac and everything, but he's really fighting Batman and Wonder Woman. And Superman in the state nearly kills Batman. Batman's out of commission. Wonder Woman is bleeding and all these types of things. She finds Max, she confronts him, and asks, "How do you break the spell?" And Max, she has him on the lasso of truth, so he can't lie.
You have to rape a stranger.
No, no, he says you have to. I renounce my wish. He says you have to kill me in order for me to let Superman go. So she grabs his head and she snaps his neck.
Oh, wow.
And that was the big moment in the OMAC project. And Max's backup plan as he gets killed was it gets filmed and publicized on TV. So everybody around the world sees Wonder Woman murder a man by snapping his neck. And that's what kicked off the event Infinite Crisis.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that's what the big moment is. In Justice League Mortal, they replaced Wonder Woman killing Max with Batman, Armie Hammer's Batman killing Max. So that would have been definitely controversial.
Who was Maxwell Lord supposed to, who was playing him in Justice League Mortal? Jay
Baruchel, the guy who voices Hiccup in How to Train Your Dragon.
Honestly, though, if he's in How to Train Your Dragon and those fucking residuals you get from animated movies, he's probably doing just fine.
Yeah, no. It's weird. It's weird casting. Maxwell Lord in the comics, I didn't bring this up, but he's based visually off of Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. Based off of
from Event
Sam
Horizon
Neill,
fame, I think you meant to say.
Event Horizon, but also The Omen Part 3, I think, where Sam Neill plays a grown-up Damien. Okay. His hairstyle and everything was the main basis for Maxwell Lord. So it would have been cool to see Sam Neill as Maxwell Lord years ago in like the 90s or something if they had ever brought him into a Justice League adaptation.
I could see him do that.
That would have been cool. Yeah. So, but anyways, that's kind of the big event. Obviously, we have a very different version of the ending here. And this is where I have less of a criticism and more praise, where it's like you have a very famous comic moment where Wonder Woman just flat out kills a dude. And it seems like if they did that, then it would just be Wonder Woman's Man of Steel Zod moment. But instead of Wonder Woman killing him, she convinces him to change and redeem himself. And that's a big thing because you rarely see that in these superhero movies. Like, the closest thing I can think of is maybe Aquaman, where he just lets his brother get captured and he says that they'll talk later, but there was still like a big fight. Like here, she doesn't even really fight Max. She kind of just puts him in the lasso and tries to talk sense into him. And Patty Jenkins even brought up, like, this was thematically closer to the ending that she wanted to do with the first movie. With the first movie, everybody criticized the Ares fight, and apparently that's because Warner Brothers was like, you need to have a big fight at the end, and she didn't really want to do that, but she had to. In this one, she's like, she got to do what she wanted, and as much as I criticize a lot of the movie, this is where it works. This part where she's like, hey, like, you can't do this, you have to accept the world as it is, and Max kind of goes from being this huge, powerful villain to a guy who just wants to save his son and redeems himself. I think that's the strongest part of this movie. This is where it really works for me. Yeah.
It feels like, yeah, it's good. I don't have much of a problem with it. I was wondering, like, was she just knocked out, or was she faking it? But the thing is,
what part?
If she, which is good either way, but like, just the action at the end, like it's again, maybe I don't know. It seemed to be too quick or something. But she gets knocked back from what? Like she's on the floor, and the rope is, unknowingly to the audience at the time, wrapped on his leg. But she's maybe faking being, having no power at that time to Max to make it seem like she's not a threat anymore to Max, and thus getting her. I don't know. It works. I'm just trying to think about the mechanics there.
Right.
I don't know. It just came.
I don't think I remember. I don't remember her getting knocked out and stuff. I just remember her on the floor.
She's she's just like lying down on her butt, basically, like in a corner, right, with the ropes coming from her hand to Max's ankle or something.
Yeah, which is revealed at the end of that speech. Somebody on Twitter cut the scene where everything happens the same, except instead of her during the speech, it's Gal Gadot doing her Imagine video music that she did earlier in 2020.
Oh man, okay, yeah.
So I have a few things in this sequence. One of those is another Hans Zimmer thing. So Hans Zimmer didn't just reuse Sunshine. He reuses his music from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice in this sequence.
He's same universe.
Yeah, and actually that's exactly what happened. Patty Jenkins said that they used it as temp music when editing, and they felt like there was symbolism there, and it was Hans who basically said, let's keep it. Which saves him from scoring everything.
I would like the residuals. I know he's German, but I would like the residuals from this film as well.
Yeah.
More and more extra upon... Well, actually, probably doesn't get any extra. It's all him anyway. But it's less work for him, though. It's already
less
there.
work. Yeah, I'm just like, come on, Hans.
He's like, I think you should... It's already there, right? Using it for a temp track, right?
Throw in John Murphy Sunshine, throw in something you already did for Batman v Superman. But the music, the piano music that's playing as Wonder Woman does the whole Renounce Your Wish speech is called Beautiful Lie, and it's used in the opening of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice for the death of the Waynes. And for me personally, I have listened to the song since 2016 when that track came out. It's the best track from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice's score.
Yeah.
I very much tie it in with Batman's trauma, and to me it just felt... And again, I haven't found anybody who agrees with me on this, but to me it's another thing where I'm just like, did we really need to have Wonder Woman's big moment scored with Batman music?
Right.
Couldn't she have just had her own score in this moment? And again, I get that there's symbolism to it in terms of the trauma and the tragedy of what they have to go through and stuff. And it's, when I first heard that song, it was because I tied it, it's very much presented as part of showing Bruce Wayne's trauma in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. And now it's suddenly every superhero's tragedy is now tied into this song if they're going to make it Wonder Woman's, and then maybe they're going to put it into Justice League for someone else. Like, who knows? But I'm kind of like, again, I wish that Hans had done something original with that one. Again, yes. I'm probably in the minority of that because everyone else seems to really love it and they love the use of it. But to me, I'm just like, keep giving Wonder Woman her own score. Keep giving her her own stuff.
Don't know why they haven't done that. I mean, yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better comment here, but I don't.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, like stop appropriate. Like you don't need her to appropriate other hero stuff. You've got like the biggest female superhero of all time.
It
Like,
makes it
I don't need her
seem
to
like
take
the
other
woman
stuff.
character's not that big. She doesn't get her own scores. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and other people are probably going to accuse me of making too big of a deal out of it, but I think the big issue to me is that, again, as a huge Batman fan, to me, that's the music of Bruce Wayne's trauma.
Yeah.
So it is distracting when a movie that doesn't have anything to do with him starts using it for a completely different context, and now it's about all these other heroes, when I'm like, like Diana deserves her own tragedy music.
Yeah.
She deserves her own score.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's also a tie into the comics from Gods and Monsters, was a story arc that I believe also introduced Barbara and Minerva. So again,
Is this a
Len
new
Wein and George
52
Perez.
run? Or no? No, this is
Crisis
earlier.
on Infinite
Oh,
Earths,
it's,
post-Crisis.
okay, yeah.
So the 80s. So this is where Ares is actually part of this. Funny enough, the villain of the first movie, where Ares basically helps manipulate the Cold War until there's like an imminent destruction from nuclear war, which is kind of what we were seeing in this movie.
Okay.
And it's Wonder Woman who really, once she finds out that she can't really do much against him, she puts him in a lasso of truth and sort of shows him what the nuclear war will do. And Ares sees this vision that he will, the Earth will be gone and he'll be completely weakened and there's nothing that he can do about it. And Ares sort of learns the error of his ways and he decides to stop his plan.
So there's no humans to fuck with to make them more warlike.
Yeah, because he's completely destroyed everything. So
yeah,
she, again, it's a similar thing where Wonder Woman uses the lasso of truth and has him renounce his plan, renounce his wish, and that type of thing. So that's a potential tie-in to that. So it could be here that they just combined the Gods and Monsters the end of that story arc with the Maxwell Lord stuff and opted for that type of ending versus the OMAC Project one, which I think is an improvement. See, I don't completely hate the movie. Right. A lot of people online are thinking about what else would have happened in the DCEU in 1984, because Bruce Wayne's parents died in 1981. So I'm sure you've seen maybe on Twitter or Instagram where people presume that Bruce Wayne would have wished for his parents to come back only to have to renounce it and see them leave him again. So that's a bummer. Another take on this from Twitter user Uber Kryptonian said that he, quote, turns off the TV and is like already cynical about it not being real. Like he doesn't even have a wish because he already knows that it's not going to work. So that's another take on that of Bruce Wayne in 1984. Another theory from the same user said that maybe Lex Luthor Sr. wishes that the Luthor name is associated with success and power, and the cost is that his own son, the Jesse Eisenberg Alexander Luthor Jr., kills him and takes over. And so that's other people's ways of tying in people from the rest of the DCEU and how they would have reacted to the whole
they don't know what
wish
they're
thing.
doing. I mean, well, we're getting the Snyderverse back, but I don't know. It's DC such a mess, you know?
You don't know if anybody had renounced their wishes in the 1984 of DCEU?
Yeah, this is so, we're getting too far into headcanon here at this point.
Well, this is headcanon. This is other
it's just
people's...
fun. It's fun speculation.
It's fun speculation.
It's
Exactly.
fan speculation. Yeah.
Yeah. Patty Jenkins says this is the first movie is about being brave enough to still find love despite the flaws of mankind. The second film is about being brave enough to face the truth and choose others even when it would be easier to be selfish. So I can kind of see where she was going with that. I think it comes together with the ending, but it's just kind of, it's very messy on the way over to that.
Right.
And then we get this we get two epilogues really, but we get an epilogue and then we get the post-credit sequence or the mid-credit sequence. We get this epilogue in Christmas that honestly feels like they're like, oh shit, this is going to hit HBO Max in Christmas. Let's add in another thing because this movie's long enough as it is. I don't really know if it really added that much to it.
Yeah.
But apparently Gal Gadot's daughters and Patty Jenkins' son have cameos as the children playing in that Christmas sequence. Okay. So that's kind of cool. And then she gets an extra scene with the man whose body Steve Trevor took over, and she doesn't tell him what happened because it was completely undone.
Aloha.
Aloha, yeah. And then when we get to the credits, we have the Lynda Carter cameo where she turns out to be Asteria.
Yeah.
And I was actually wondering, I'm like, okay, it's obviously not Diana because they're trying to do some sort of bait and switch, but I thought maybe it was going to be Kristen Wiig in like a wig just to tease that Cheetah was back or something and still has the powers. But I'd say this was better. If you guys check out Mark Bernardin's rewrite on Wonder Woman 84, he includes Lynda Carter's character and gives her an even bigger role in it, and how she deals with it thematically.
I know,
so that's
we're
cool.
giving away more than half his rewrite, but what does it say about Asteria in that? What would he do?
It's Asteria who gives the armor to Diana and teaches her that it's going to be the strength of her character, not her physical strength, that saves the day on that, because that's how she beat out. In his rewrite, a younger version of Lynda Carter is the one who beats Diana in the competition in the beginning.
Right.
So later
de-aged,
on,
de-aged Lynda Carter.
you can de-age her with the Marvel de-aging techniques, that type of stuff. As long as it looks better than Luke Skywalker at the end of The Mandalorian season 2, it'll look fine. And then and then later on, Diana finds her, and then Lynda Carter gives her the armor and tells her that stuff. I'm like, you know what? I like that. I personally, when I saw her again, I was like, I kind of wish she had a bigger role in this. And it also seems like Asteria didn't sacrifice herself because she's still alive. And she's just in hiding.
Okay, thought about that because we brought that up in episode part one of this.
Part one,
of this deep dive. But I guess you can assume that Asteria at least had the intentions of going out, and she was prepared to sacrifice herself.
Mm-hmm.
This is just benefit of the doubt kind of shit. But
she pulled a Christian Bale in Dark Knight Rises, as far as I'm concerned. She faked her death.
But she doesn't.
Retired.
But obviously she doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole that kind of like self-sacrifice kind of vibe you get from the backstory of Asteria, it's a little bit, some of that's a little bit lost. Is it the worst thing? No, it's not. So it's okay.
No, compared to a certain other element we've been talking about for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There is a minor character named Asteria in DC Comics. She's in an Elseworld. It's called Elseworld's Finest, Supergirl and Batgirl in the 90s, but I couldn't find anything that makes her similar at all to this Asteria. It just feels like they took that name, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So,
it's
there's
cool
also
they got Lynda Carter in there. I mean, that's sweet. You pay
Yeah.
homage to those who came before.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There are a number of comic book creators thanked in the credits, so I'll give Patty Jenkins credit on this, that she was definitely thorough, or tried to be as thorough as possible for who she thanked, and to pay tribute to the people who's created these characters. So she thanked Alex Ross, who of course designed the Kingdom Come armor, as well as Mark Waid, who wrote Kingdom Come.
Right.
J.M. DeMatteis, who created Maxwell Lord. Gardner Fox, who wrote Justice League America number 19, which featured Dr. Destiny's Dreamstone. So that's probably why he's credited here.
Okay.
Ramona Fradon, who drew one story for Wonder Woman in an 80s annual that featured a machine that brought dreams and fears to life, according to Bleeding Cool. Keith Geffen, who also co-created Maxwell Lord. Bob Haney, who created Simon Stagg. Phil Jimenez, who basically did a lot for Wonder Woman and co-wrote the essential Wonder Woman encyclopedia. Kevin Maguire, who's the artist who drew Maxwell Lord. Rags Morales, who basically teamed up with Greg Rucka, and I believe was the artist who drew Wonder Woman snapping Maxwell Lord's neck. And Greg Rucka was the one who wrote that.
Morales
George
has one of
Perez,
those famous Batman panels, right? The one where he's like, Batman and Robin, ... orphans, or something like that. And it's like,
where he's
holding the bloody. There's like blood in the background. He's holding.
Yeah, he's cradling Tim Drake because Tim just witnessed his father get killed.
I think that this mini tangent, but I think that panel is like up there. You know how they have like the Superman All-Star panel where it's like you're stronger than you think you are, like the probably
the Grant Morrison All-Star Superman. Yeah,
it's totally different emotional vibe. But I think as far as like think about top panels from a character, I think that Rags Morales panel is kind of up there with that All-Star panel.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
for what the characters represent. George Perez was credited as well. He was part of the relaunch in '87 post-Crisis, and Themyscira. I think he helped name it Themyscira, or defined the island as and helped create Minerva as Cheetah. So that's cool. Harry G.
Themyscira didn't have a
Peter-
name until the 80s or some shit?
I'll have to look this up, but I think beforehand it was just called Paradise Island.
Paradise Island. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. I think I heard that before, yeah.
And it was kind of given the more official name of Themyscira.
Themyscira sounds a little bit more legit, I guess.
It's a lot more legit, yeah.
Yeah. Greek,
Let's see.
I assume.
I would think so. Let me just look real quick. So Themyscira was Paradise Island, and then in 1987 they founded the city-state of Themyscira on here.
Themyscira
is seen in Wonder Woman 2. Yeah, first name Themyscira in Wonder Woman #1 in 1987. So yeah, he was a big part of that.
Okay, I see. I thought that was older.
You thought that was
than
from the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Gotham City wasn't called Gotham at the very beginning.
When was it called
So-
Gotham? I forgot about that. You probably told
It
me
was
before.
called a few issues into the Batman comics when he had his own title. Bill Finger ended up saying it was Gotham, whereas other comics said it was New York City. And then another comic just basically streamlined it and said, like, oh, he is in Gotham. He's been in Gotham the whole time, but he just visited New York for that one story.
We're
That
trying to
it
make
was said
sense
to be
of all
New York
this.
City. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Harry G. Peter was credited. He's known. He's known for being the co-creator of Wonder Woman, as being one of the artists on it, but not part of the created by credit. So that's interesting to me. There was Greg Potter was thanked, was part of the 1987 relaunch. Jesus Saiz, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, was also part of the OMAC project. Nicholas Scott, who helped reboot Wonder Woman for DC Rebirth. Len Wein, who co-created the Barbara Ann Minerva Cheetah, as well as finally the Marston family, for obvious reasons, because the William Moulton Marston is the creator of Wonder Woman.
Right.
And then this was a really cool thing, actually, was that there was one more person who was sort of left off on that, and that was... hold on, I thought I had it in the notes, but it turns out that I did not. Issued an apology over the Cheetah. So this one artist, Liam Sharp, was the primary artist on Wonder Woman's Rebirth run that featured Cheetah and sort of redesigned Cheetah on that, and sort of commented on Twitter that, you know, he was left out, but, you know, he still enjoyed the movie. And Patty Jenkins actually publicly put on Twitter, I just discovered your name wasn't in the thank yous. No idea how it fell off, as you're in the OG list. Thank you for all your great work on this character. So she basically gave credit where it was due. So
she's doing
much respect.
She's doing her part.
Much respect to Patty for doing that.
I mean, I think there's generally I forget how exactly it works, but I don't think the main editor even does the credits. It might have been one of the assistant editors does the credit sequences, and possibly, other than the overall look of it, I'm not sure how often the directors really pay attention to the credits. I don't know. I mean, maybe they should more. They probably should more. But I could see how this kind of thing kind of slips by the director.
There's a million names, to keep track of.
There's a billion names. She's got a million other things to deal with.
And obviously, the big priorities are the people who actually worked on the movie. So it's understandable. I don't fault her at all for the misstep, and it's good that she took ownership of that and thanked him publicly for that. And it got on a whole bunch of news sites that she did that. So that's awesome. And I think
the credits also don't scroll.
The creators is huge.
They dissolve in and out. I believe
in the beginning, yes. After
that.
after the Lynda Carter cameo, I think it does just the regular scrolling.
Okay.
So,
man, we're doing a deep dive on the credits now.
We're doing a deep dive on the credits. Who knew we would spend this much time
with that? Didn't you, Internet?
3 parts on Wonder Woman 84, but I think we're finally here, and that is superhero stuff you should know.
Hey, real quick, other than Bernard and Rewrite, actually not, because Bernard and Rewrite was, for this movie.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 3. What are we doing, Ben? Pitch your idea.
For Wonder Woman 3?
Yeah. Let's say we have to live with the cut we got for 2.
Present day.
Yeah.
Christopher Poloha is back as the son of that man, and it said back in 1984, you raped my dad, and
Damn.
he becomes Egg Foo.
What?
That's the No. 3.
A non-Asian egg food. I expect better from you, Ben.
We gloss over. We try
better.
to adjust one problematic issue and create a new one, because if we go by the logic of that dude in part 2, 2 wrongs make a right.
If we let whataboutism be right in this world, then yes, you are
It'll
correct.
be Wonder Woman whataboutism. WWW. Boom. 3 W's for
Yes,
Wonder Woman 3. I'm a
internet.
genius.
Okay, so my idea, which I think possibly Bernardin had some idea about this too,
Is probably better than mine. Yeah.
but maybe I got it from Bernardin. I can't fucking remember at this point.
yeah.
But anyway, just to share it, we go back to the Greek shit, man. She gets warped back into fucking some labyrinth, and she's fighting minotaurs and shit. And they're practical effects minotaurs, by the way. She's got fucking Medusa in there. She's got centaurs. You know, there's a whole fucking world we could do with this. We're making this shit fucking Lord of the Rings, but instead of the Norse mythology that Tolkien took from, we're making this shit Greek mythology. We go back to the Greek shit. I know it takes it out of the real world a lot, but I think it could be a lot of fun. What they could say about society and feminism and all that kind of shit, I don't fucking know. But like, I feel like you got
mythology movie.
You got this whole fucking Greek mythology shit. You're not really diving into. Oh, and I would make more. The Amazons are always such a side piece in these movies. Like, I don't mean it like that, but you know, like they're.
I get what you mean. It's just
they're
funny
too
phrasing.
They're too miscellaneous. They're
Yeah,
too
I
on the
agree.
side.
I
We need
agree.
to
And
we
some
need
of
to
the
have
best
them
stuff-
like more. We need to have 2 warrior bitches at her side the entire fucking movie. Taking
There's a
hits for
ton
Wonder
of-
Woman,
yeah.
ride or die
There's
bitches.
a ton of characters.
Boom,
yeah,
with
they could go
fucking
with.
spears and shit. Think 300, but with women. Or
women,
maybe
yeah.
not that many of them, but like think about Wonder Woman taking a fucking like team of like 10 warrior bitches into the labyrinth or something. You know what I mean? Like some God, it would be
That'd be
fucking sweet.
amazing.
And she's
That would be
kind of
amazing.
she's kind of like Leonidas, her own kind of like Leonidas kind of type of character.
Tonight we dine in hell.
You know that line, that line when he says, Xerxes says, "We will fire so many arrows they'll blot out the sun," and then Leonidas says, "Well, then we shall fight in the shade."
It's actually not Leonidas. It's Michael Fassbender.
Oh, Fassbender. Yeah. Apparently, supposedly, I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong about everything, but I think that's supposed to be actually historically accurate.
It is in the movie The 300 Spartans from, I want to say the 60s or so.
Yeah.
The exact lines are in there too. It's not a Frank Miller invention at all. It's not a Zack Snyder invention at all. It's supposed to be from recorded history, so that's cool.
Part of Spartan training was you needed to. Part of their mental training apparently was to have comebacks. They wanted to have comebacks to jokes, comebacks to insults. So that might have been part of Leonidas' training. Was to,
maybe, yeah.
You know what I mean? That was their mental training, which is kind of cool.
I'd say that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think that'd be a great Wonder Woman 3. I'd like to see Cheetah come back. I don't know if she would fit into that version of it, but given the fact that her powers come with the Dreamstone type of thing, you could easily just have Kristen Wiig show up in 2020 and just explain through magic that she didn't age. I think we are done with Steve Trevor. I don't think we need more Steve Trevor.
He's gone.
Chris Pine has played his part in this universe. He was great for where it was, but his character's just not designed to last further on that. You don't need him anymore. Have Diana be who she needs to be without Steve Trevor's presence in that. If you're going to have male characters, have them be other characters who help out and stuff. But that's all you need from that. I would love to see more Themyscirans. I'd love to have more exploration of the Greek gods. If we're going to do comparison, like just go full on Ragnarok with this shit in terms of not necessarily with the tone, but in terms of just like, here's the fucking world that we're exploring that's beyond what you saw before. Just like how Ragnarok went beyond just, the world that we saw in the first couple of movies and went to all these other aspects of that, So
it's
I think that's the way to go with it. All right, so we have a few fan comments to go
Okay.
over from YouTube. One of them is, we have a couple of our fans who are recurring, but one of them is Sparkageddon 318.
Oh, hell yeah.
Says, say, can y'all do a deep dive in the Gotham TV series? So, a few things, Sparkageddon. We do actually have a couple Gotham-related episodes. We have our interview with Cole Vallis. That's on YouTube. Who played Tommy Elliott. And then we also did, it's not on YouTube right now, but maybe we'll put it up, is our interview with Andrew Sellon, who played Mr. Penn, who became the ventriloquist in the
That's
final
not on
season
YouTube yet?
of
Oh,
Gotham.
man. We need
It
to
is
get that
not.
on there.
We'll get it on there. Maybe by the
Okay.
time we put this up, who knows. But that's about all we've done so far. We've talked a little bit about it in the training timeline. In terms of full-on deep dives, it's just, I'll be honest, with TV shows, it's extremely hard. Because there's just so much to cover. So we'll get around to it eventually. We do have plans to cover stuff like the George Reeves TV series and all those sorts of stuff. But it's just tougher when there's just so many episodes and so much to cover. But we'll get around to, I believe, probably aspects of Gotham and talking about it or bringing it up whenever I can on here.
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of a non-answer to you, but basically, like, we're thinking about it. It's just TV shows are hard to do deep dive.
Feels like you're really stepping into it. If we haven't watched the show that much before, like I haven't watched a whole lot of Gotham.
Right.
You saw all of it though, so I guess it's okay.
I saw all of it, but then it's like, again, this is 5 seasons that have ended, so I'm going to have to review a lot and tie into different comics. Like it's going to be a lot, but it'll be worth it, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Green Arrow, aka Robert Truman. How are you guys? I hope you guys are enjoying the new year. So far, so good. Big shout out to Green Arrow for thank you for all your comments on all these. We are we're definitely appreciative of our fans.
Right
here. So
yeah. Thanks for all the comments, Rob. I don't know if anybody calls you Rob, but. But yeah, we're doing as good as we can considering the pandemic and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It would be nice to record in the same room again sometime at some point, Benatavius. But
right.
But yeah, we're doing okay, and I hope you're having a good 2021 so far as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for everything.
Yes. Last comment is from A Happy Teddy Bear is his name. He says, if there ever was a time to bring back the Shadow, this is a comment on our Is Batman a ripoff of the Shadow? He says, if there ever was a time to bring back the Shadow, it's now. If I have to hear Bruce moan and complain that his parents are dead one more damn time, I swear. I'm getting tired of the age of moral grayness and ambiguity. Give us a moral binary character, please. Good show. Thank you,
That's cool.
Happy Teddy Bear. I think your name is in contrast to that. Ironically, we have way more episodes about Bruce moaning and complaining about his parents being dead than we do about the Shadow. But I'd love to get into the Shadow deep dives. I have a lot of the pulp novels or novellas that the Batman stories were based off of, and I definitely at some point plan to read all of them and do comparisons and continue
cool.
off of that, because that was pretty much
The Shadow.
that Shadow episode is kind of just a general overview. But I don't really go into like nitty-gritty comparisons between one story to the next. It was kind of just like, here's all the stuff, and then I think there's more to explore there. There's more to explore with the Shadow. There's plenty of adaptations, stories. He's a fascinating character, and I'd love to if he made a comeback. So
There's definitely some room there. I generally don't actually love superheroes set in period piece stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd love for the X-Men to just get out of the 80s and 90s, whatever the fuck, and Woman 84. It's just like, that's just my personal preference, not a deal breaker. But with the Shadow though, that probably might be better. I don't know. Well, it could be either way, but I feel like for me personally, it wouldn't be as big of a deal if they made an HBO Max miniseries and it's set in the 20s or whatever the fuck.
in the 30s, yeah.
In the 30s.
He kind of feels like he's best in that era to me.
Yeah, yeah. It would just be kind of cool throwback pulp shit. Like I feel like the MCU or Marvel or Disney Plus should do like a Buck Rogers show or something like that. Like really, like we owe so much to that to those like older franchises and they're never really given their due anymore. I mean, they are old as hell, but it'd be kind of cool for them to, do a little bit more of that, like fucking what is it, Doc Savage series on HBO Max with The Rock. The Rock wants to play as, you know what I mean? Like, I do think that this is, again, me with my producer hat on. I would be greenlighting that fucking throwback vintage shit, especially for streaming, left and right. Maybe 6 episodes. 6 episodes. You get 6 episodes. You get 6 episodes.
You
Doc
can do
Savage,
your own
The Shadow, Buck Rogers, all that shit.
Pulp universe,
Yeah.
Like Doc Savage meets The Shadow, like that.
Are you kidding me? Come on, dude. People,
Yeah.
bring it. Bring that shit, dude.
Like streaming has made it more plausible than ever that you can get niche shit out there. You know? Because it's, like, did you ever think that we were going to get a Lone Wolf and Cub inspired Star Wars TV show?
Yeah, Boba Fett.
That's where we are.
He had like one line. It was just a great design. People love
and
that.
Bringing Boba Fett and like there's so many things that you are now possible just because of streaming, because it's less about like Nielsen ratings now and just more about like, well, no,
how well will it do in the box office and all that. Yeah, it's a little bit easier in some ways, right, to just bring it onto streaming. Yeah,
I think so. So bring it on. Give me that Doc Savage HBO Max show. Give me the Shadow in the 1930s and shit. Hell, I'll write it. Like
Taika Waititi should do Buck Rogers, like to make that whole vintage sci-fi.
Nice.
Zap, wow, that whole really ran into that kind of bullshit,
But also make it, for 2021, make it like self-aware and hilarious at the same time. Would be cool. So I think that'd be great.
If
all right,
only we were running Hollywood, Benatavius.
We'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be awesome.
All right, over to you with the. That was the end of the YouTube shoutouts.
Okay.
So thanks, guys, for that. Over to you, Andrew.
Okay, so we would like to thank, as always, our Patreon patrons and other supporters. So that includes, of course, SDCT Productions, Robert Schumann, Kooky Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls, Aaron Willett, Ian H., Dan D., Leom O., Super Inframan, and Douglas Peep. Please join. Please join the Shasta Army at patreon.com/superhero stuff. Patreon tiers, main ones, of course, $1 tier. You get your name at the end. You get the shout outs. And then the $5 tier is the real good one where you get a whole other show. And that's one a week, just about. It's $5 a month, ongoing. And you can cancel anytime, though. We drop those episodes every Friday. And check that out. Generally, it's a sort of basically a deep dive in this show. And then Ben does the deeper dive in.
Well, sometimes you do, too.
Sometimes I do, but 90% of the time it's you doing it. And then after that, please check out Superhouse merch, superhero stuff you should know merch, at superhousepod.redbubble.com. That's our main merch store online, and Wolfie has done the really awesome Indeed Wizard cartoon, like little illustrations and the Ben Man illustration and stuff like that. So we got mugs, we got stickers, we have t-shirts, we have tote bags. If you want us to put something on there, let us know in the comments or email us at superhousepodcast@gmail.com. Also is another way to get in touch with us. And leave us a review on iTunes, always appreciated. And also, please use your voice recorder app. Send us a little voice recording to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. Please visit my other YouTube channel. Not totally related to this really at all, because it's mainly about my interest in Japan, Japanese language, Japanese culture differences, shit like that, Japanese video games, retro video games, anything like that. Everything that I'm interested in that's not superhero stuff, basically on there. And that is youtube.com/user/ThunderWolfLives. Basically, if you search for Thunderwolf Lives on YouTube, you'll find it. My personal portfolio website is thunderwolflives.com, and my personal Instagram and Twitter is ThunderwolfDrew on both of those. And if you're checking us out on just the podcast, just the audio version on iTunes or whatever, Spotify, that's great, of course. Wonderful. If you want to see us while we talk, I guess, if you're not already, we're on YouTube, which is search for Superhero Stuff You Should Know on YouTube. And we're there. And I think that's it for me. Ben.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Superhero Stuff Pod, as well as on Twitter at SuperhousePod. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Ben1Writer. And I believe that's it when it comes to wrapping up the shoutouts and the social media. When we get back, we are going to go back into the world of the Dark Knight. We're going back into the world of Batman because we have a new Batman movie coming out. Batman Soul of the Dragon is going to be released on digital on January 12th, which I believe is coming up pretty soon as of the release of this episode. So stay tuned for that. We will be watching it. We will be diving into the comic book connections, and we'll be probably exploring different aspects about his training that we haven't before. As a primer for that, check out our Batman training timeline episode.
Most relevant probably to that one, huh?
Yeah, I go into like 2 hours of like all of any story in media, comics, novels, movies, TV shows, cartoons. I cover all of it, put into one cohesive timeline of Bruce Wayne training, because he trains like a motherfucker to go from the traumatic boy who lost his parents to being the Dark Knight himself. We're going to go
other producer hat stuff. Like, again, we've talked about this a lot in that episode, but it's just like, we need Batman the Legend Continues. We need, could be a sequel to Gotham, really.
Just bring back David Mazouz.
Older teenager to early 20s Batman traveling through Asia. I know that gets... There's always like cultural appropriation stuff and all that kind of shit in there, but he's just learning martial arts, y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
have him travel to all
Ben,
sorts
you
of
talk
places,
about that more than me, I guess, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have like Kung Fu: The Legend Continues meets. Well, that was in the Old West,
and he doesn't always have to be in Asia either.
Yeah, goes to fucking France and learns fencing or whatever the fuck. Just like a traveling traveling vagabond warrior. Batman.
Get me Jean
in
Reno
training.
as Ducard, like that type of shit.
There's nobody in Gotham that's as badass as these guys abroad, so he has to go there. And I don't know, it's a lot, but they also have fucking Pennyworth on Epics. So,
so if you can have an Alfred show, you can have a Bruce Wayne training show.
We can do it.
Yeah,
we can go to Asia. We can go to Tibet.
Yeah, exactly. So check out those episodes before we get to Batman Soul of the Dragon. And we look forward to it. We have no idea what's going to be in that movie outside of what's in the trailer. So we'll just have to all stay tuned.
Should be great.
Thank you guys, and see you later.
Thumb a up!